find equanimity of spirit, and you're sharing it not just with yourself, you're sharing it with very long thread of humanity. That's important to me. I like the idea that someone can stand in front of artwork. They either pee in their pants, or they smile from ear to ear, or they shake uncontrollably. It's a big emotion if it really transfers. I love that.
Unusual that people's lives and paths work in a parallel way. Often they diverge in different ways. For us, for whatever reason, we grew in a parallel way, so we were always together. Conceptually, intellectually, and emotionally, we worked as one. Daniel had always an interest in archaeological gold work, mostly because, and a lot of people didn't really know this, but a very dear friend of ours had done a lot of archaeological work as a student, so we would hear all the tales and he became interested in how these things were made. And then when it came time to decide to make a wedding ring, he bought 1 ounce of gold and in the archaeological style fused it together, and he made a Hercules knot in it. And that's what the wedding ring is. It's very simple, but it's a Hercules knot and done with pure gold, the way ancient Greek, Roman, Etruscan work is done. Not practical, not mundane, but yeah, I would say he had a romance about what could happen with the work, what he might be able to bring out of it.
Incredibly creative, obsessive, romantic, that's a word you used for already. I mean, I think just the sort of creative drive somewhere, you know, that he was, I guess, born with. It's just something really to behold. It's like, you know, the range of work from paintings, drawings, jewelry, sculptures. You know, it's such a wide range. It's hard to kind of come up with one word that sort of, you know, to encapsulate it, but it's just sort of this incredibly sort of inspirational and creative force.
To me, I think the word that always comes to mind is intense. I mean, he was really, intense in everything he did. So he could work, I think, for days, only by himself, highly concentrated on his work, not seeing anybody, not letting anybody into the studio. And at the same time, he was very engaging. So, he was very much at ease, when he was mixing with people, even, in social occasions in New York. And I think he had a very, very rich personality.
He was much more interested in it not being about sort of technique and process. That was never something he particularly cared about. He wanted people to have a connection with the work and perhaps, have people sort of change how they think about it over time or when they see it in different ways, but not as a matter of questioning sort of process, more just sort of how they feel or whether that makes them feel differently.
He wanted the skill to disappear and for you to move beyond asking how, rather asking why. I remember, this goes back a lot of years, a very close poet friend of ours wrote a poem. He was the head of Russian Slavic languages at Yale University. He was a very close friend of ours for many years. He wrote a poem to Daniel, and it said, the title was To a Painter, to Daniel Brush. And it's a 2-line poem, and it says, in looking, one aims to retell the mountains, seas, clouds. But to see is to forget the names of things. I think that kind of encapsulates the notion of let's forget about how it was made. Let's move into a bigger space.
The last series, when you visit the exhibition, which is the Cantos, it's several series of these pieces that are among the latest series, and I found this very moving because it's almost taken to the bare minimum in a way. So it's a bit further away from jewelry in the sense that there is no functionality anymore. So they are really objects. They are more maybe sculptures than jewels because you cannot wear them. They are not brooches or necklaces. But I think they are really a fantastic signature, of his work. They really, for me, illustrate the tension that was extremely important in his work, which is the tension between the poetry and the fineness and the subtlety of the results through, the toughest processes. And I think that's quite moving. And there is always, along the engraving, there's always a tiny line of diamonds that reminds of the preciousness also of the work. So I think it's a very poetic series.